All right, as soon as this list of questions decides to open up, I'll start asking. But in the time that it's taken me to load this, welcome to the channel officially. It's great to have you on here. It's great that we could do this.
Thank you, brother.
I genuinely appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to, to hang with me. And yeah, let me pick your brain a little bit,
Cool.
So before we actually get started, just introduce yourself real quick. We're here at X-Ring Security, which is Oahu's best indoor shooting range, and I don't say that lightly because I've been to multiple. So tell us who you are, what you do here, what your positions are here, and how you got into firearms in the first place.
Sweet. My name is Adin, aka Mag Tactical 808. Yeah, so I work here at the range. I am the general manager here. I'd like to consider myself a hobbyist when it comes to firearms. Yeah, I met Morgan through shooting here. I think I was RSOing you, and you asked me if you could go prone in our range, which I then told him no. And then, yeah, kicked off from there.
Yeah, I was in full kit, and I was shooting my Daniel Defense, and I was like, "Can I go prone?" And yeah, it was an interesting meetup.
Yeah, but ever since then, we've been pretty good friends, and all the way up to this point. So.
Hell yeah. Could you tell me a little bit about what got you into shooting in the first place?
Yeah, so first things first, I grew up on the west side of Oahu here in Hawaii, and growing up on that side our entire lives, it's always been about fist fighting, to prove your strength and to earn your name and whatnot. And I grew up in that lifestyle all the way up until I became an adult. And then a few years into my adulthood, the road that I lived on, which coincidentally my parents lived on and my wife's parents lived on at the same time. In 1 year, there were, if I'm not mistaken, 5 gun-related murders on that road alone. And this was a road that I've spent majority of my childhood. And then I realized very quickly that fist fighting isn't going to save my life, right? Fist fighting is not going to save my family's life. So it doesn't matter how much experience I've got, how much training I put into that aspect.
Yeah, because you could be Frankie Edgar, you could be freaking Conor McGregor, but if you're getting attacked by multiple people on the street where there are no rules, you're gonna get freaking clawed.
Or even against a firearm or a knife, you won't win. Mm-hmm. So that was the reason I got into firearms, is to give my family and myself a fighting chance against people who wish harm or death upon us. So that's what got me into firearms to begin with.
So you're really passionate about self-defense, and that was basically the primary reason you got into it.
Correct.
Yeah. I can see that reflected a lot in the training that you give us. In all of the classes that we do, they're always self-defense oriented, and it seems like a lot of the drills that we do are designed in such a way that it's for quick reactions, when you're not necessarily in the highest state of awareness.
Yeah, practicality, something that you might use.
So what advice would you give to new shooters about gear selection and training priorities? Which comes first, and how should you go about navigating those two things when it comes to being a new shooter and being a beginner, someone who doesn't know the things that we might?
Good question. For a new shooter, I think the priority is to, first things first, understand the responsibility of being a gun owner, the safety behind it, and then obviously the first step would be to take your training course and then get a firearm. So getting a firearm is the first thing that you do after you learn all the basics about owning one. And then I think the priority should be, after you choose your firearm, you get a feel for it in your hand. If you have the opportunity to, I would advise that you try a firearm, rent a firearm, borrow a firearm, because shooting one is significantly different from just holding one or watching a video on one. Mm-hmm. So get a firearm that you're comfortable with, and once you do, the first thing you should do is practice with it for a little bit before you do anything. So that's the first thing you should do, I think, is train with it a little bit. Know that this is a firearm that you can operate safely and accurately, and then from there you can move on to other things. What was the follow-up question? I think it was what upgrades.
Yeah, how do you balance being the responsibilities of being a new shooter and getting into this with upgrading your stuff, right? Because I see some people who we all see some people who get a little bit too into the upgrades and the gear part of things, and that has a place. That has a place, but at the same time, I feel as if like when you're a beginner, that's not what you should be worried about from
Correct.
the get-go.
Yeah, I think you should check as many boxes as you can, as early as you can, but also be smart about it. You should be thinking about things that make sense and that are necessities rather than wants. So, for example, I think the firearm is obviously generally important because that is what you're using to defend yourself. A light source would be my next thing up because target identification is very important. Half of the day is in the sunlight, half of the day is in the nighttime, and if you're shooting in the dark and you're not sure what you're shooting at, you're responsible for every round that leaves your chamber. So a light source is the second thing that you should get, and training, because it doesn't matter what you have. If you can't hit your shots, it doesn't really count for anything, right? Could hurt someone that you don't intend to hurt.
Yeah. Bit of an improvised question to go off of that, right? Since we are talking a little bit about gear, optics versus iron sights. Do you feel like optics actually give a decent advantage over iron sights, or do you feel like that? Do you feel like the speed factor and the target confirmation factor is a little bit overblown?
Yeah, so if we're taking two of these and putting them on a table and we're saying what is better than the other, I think that varies in perspective and also situational as well. So for example, I have terrible eyes, and iron sights require you to be front sight focused in order for you to line up your sights and get on target. I have bad eyes, so I'm accurate with iron sights up to 10 yards, and then I am just hoping that my punch out is straight anywhere outside of that. So irons are true. They will be reliable. They will never go out on you because they are non-battery operated.
Unless they walk, of course. But
yeah, unless they walk. Other than that, they are significantly more reliable than red dot. But a red dot allows you to be target focused, which allows your situational awareness to be I guess greater. Let's see here. It allows you to get on target faster, and it allows guys like me with terrible eyesight to pick up our target with that nice crispy dot in the middle of the window.
So in your opinion, there are definite advantages to red dots over iron sights?
Correct. You can be significantly faster with your red dot, and I think that a red dot in a home defense scenario could benefit you more, because being able to see your target through the window of that red dot is easier for you to get on him and take shots necessary faster. Because if you're front sight focused and you're struggling to line that up with the stress that you have in that situation, you can't tell the difference between a target that is 10 yards away, 15 yards away, or closing, because you're too focused on that front sight, and you blur out everything behind it. So
yeah, I think that the speed within which you can confirm your target or get target confirmation is just a little bit slower on iron sights.
Correct.
Than it is on red dots, because I've had sessions at night where I've dry fired with my irons, and even though I'm able to get like good target confirmation with my irons, it's not as fast as just bringing the dot up to my eye line and maintaining that target focus from the get-go and throughout the procedure, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think just to follow up on that question, it's a great question, one or the other. I think it's 2025, we have technology that allows us to combine the two, right? So then now you can go with suppressor height sights that creep up into the window of your red dot, and I think that should be an option that everyone considers, because it allows your iron sights to be usable should your dot ever fail. Having
absolutely.
the best of both worlds is always better than having the best of one world.
Yeah, because you never know when you could predict when that battery's going to die, but you really never know. It's kind of just guessing.
What if you turned it off because you thought you weren't going to use the gun, or what if you set it low because you were shooting indoors and then you use it in an outdoor situation? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have to exactly. You got to consider those things. Or what if the assailant is flashing a light at you and now your red dot disappears in that light? So you got to consider those things. Iron sights will trump the red dot in those aspects.
For sure. So, so you train students every other Sunday or every other Saturday and Sunday, basically, and you get a wide variety of experience levels. You have guys who are military. You've even had some special operations guys come to your classes before who absolutely blow things out of the water. And then you've also had law enforcement show up. You've had single mothers. You've had a wide variety of students and different experience levels show up in your class. What are your general expectations from all students in class, regardless of experience level, but especially new shooters?
Oh, good. I like this question. So the expectations that I have going into this automatically, and it's the same thing with just the range or buying a firearm or anything, is safety is of utmost importance. I think that goes without saying. Is you have to have your safety fundamentals down, especially when you're doing a downrange shootout alongside people without barriers in between you all. It is very important to have that safety implemented throughout the day and just embedded into your mind. You want your safety to be flawless almost, right? Mm-hmm. Know when to load your gun, know when to put your finger on the trigger, know when to unload, know where your muzzle is facing at all times, etc. You guys know all the safety rules. So first things first, safety, right, is very important. And then right after that, immediately after that, what I expect out of everyone, no matter the skill level, is to try your absolute best to improve. Mm-hmm. You don't necessarily have to be the best shooter or the fastest or the most accurate. The goal is to try to be as accurate as you can, as fast as you can be with accuracy. You don't want to be the fastest guy who misses every shot. You don't want to be the most accurate guy who takes 30 minutes to take a shot, right? Because speed and accuracy matter when it comes to a home defense scenario or a self-defense scenario. Those things matter. Mm-hmm. But I expect everyone to try their absolute best. I think when you're chasing a clip or a good video during the drill, so you're running fast and you want to look cool and tactical, and then it looks good on video, but then when we review the target, you're in the C zone or the D zone. I think that's a little bit annoying, and I see it a few times here and there. Mm-hmm.
I know the times that I've brought my camera out to the range, I definitely see a shift in people's mindset. They're moving a bit faster and they're shooting a bit harder.
Yeah.
But their target, their accuracy is not staying the same. It's decreasing slightly.
Exactly. And don't get me wrong, even myself, I'm a victim of this as well. When the cameras are rolling, I tend to want to look as cool as I possibly can. For the likes, for the views, for yourself. You want to be a movie. Everyone wants to be a movie star, right? Whether you like it or not, that's the truth of it. And we want to look cool. And unfortunately, looking cool doesn't always mean that you are on target. Mm-hmm. So,
looking cool does not always make you cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I said this in one of my other videos, to paraphrase myself, but I said something along the lines of it's cool to look cool, but what's cooler than looking cool is shooting really well.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, gotta shoot well.
Yeah, you can be the guy who has that $4,000 mm-hmm. AR build from Knights, and you can have a Staccato XC on your hip, but you may not, if you can't run those guns and get good hits on target, you don't look cool.
Yeah, it does not matter how cool you look. It doesn't matter how much stuff you have, how expensive your things are. If you can't hit your target, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So what separates a student, right? Because you talked about showing up with the attitude of wanting to improve. Mm-hmm. What separates a student who improves quickly from someone who stays stagnant? Are they more coachable? Are they really pushing their own limits? Are they getting after it? Or try to put yourself in the mind of a student for a moment. What separates someone who improves quickly from someone who just stays the same after every session?
Yeah, so working at a range, you come across multiple types of personalities in here, and what separates the two, the ever-improving student versus the stagnant student, is the mindset, right? I'm well aware. I would like to consider myself a seasoned shot at this point in my life, but I'm well aware that I'm not perfect, and I'm not gonna hit a hole in a hole every single time.
Real quick, just tell the audience how long you've been shooting for, but how frequently you've been shooting, because I think that matters here.
Yeah, it does matter. I have been shooting for just about 2 years now. In the first year of me shooting, I've shot about 50,000 rounds. And then in my second year of shooting, I've shot close to, I'd like to say, 60 to 70,000 rounds. I train very frequently, every week that I possibly can. I train 5 days a week minimum, dry fire at home, and I operate firearms daily.
Yeah.
Daily. If even if it's not training, I'm playing with a firearm one way or the other, cleaning one, understanding it, and the way it works. So there's always some kind of training throughout my weekly basis.
So for anybody in the audience that is scoffing at this right now, that thinks that, oh, this guy's only been shooting for 2 years, he's not credible. He's done more work in 2 years than most people who show up to a gun range will do in over a decade. And I can say that with a lot of authority because I've been shooting for 10 years. I've been using firearms for 10 years, but only in the past 2 years have I really like become super serious about my own training. Mostly due to circumstances, but at the end of the day, the end result is the end result. So
Thanks
going
for
back
that,
to,
I said thank you.
you're welcome.
Glad
So going back to, again, the question about like what separates those who improve quickly from those who are stagnant. Let's talk about that a bit more.
Yeah, it's the mindset, right? It's understanding that you are not the best. It's understanding that you can improve, understanding that what you have been doing for 10 years, 20 years could potentially have been wrong, right? And there's a lot of things that come into play. For example, your grip is different from my grip. You know, your trigger pull and your trigger placement is different from mine. The way you place your shoulders and your stance is different from mine. At the end of the day, what matters is whether or not you're hitting your target, your intended target, because that's the most important thing. And I think a lot of people have come across new shooters and seasoned shooters alike tend to have different opinions on that. So the newer shooters want to know the fastest way to become accurate. And I have to explain to them it's not a quick journey. It's a very, very consistent and long journey to acquire accuracy, pinpoint accuracy. And I think the newer shooters are a little bit more open-minded because they have a clean slate, right? Yeah. They want to pick up as much information as they possibly can so that they can become better. And it's easier to teach a new shooter how to shoot accurately than a 20-year shooter who shoots inaccurately.
I can definitely attest to that as well because anytime I bring shooters to the range who are less experienced than me, they are usually the ones who I have an easier time.
Yeah, they're receptive.
Yeah, because they're more receptive, right? Whereas if you take a guy that's been shooting for like 20 years, and I'm speaking from an experience I had. This individual, he left a YouTube comment on another channel's video. He basically said that pinning the trigger to the rear after every shot is the way to achieve fast follow-up shots. When resetting the trigger under recoil, like you and I do, is sometimes the faster method, or it actually is the faster method, because I don't need to go into the mechanics of it. I don't want to waste too much time here, but resetting the trigger under recoil and coming back on that wall is the way to faster shots instead of simply pinning it to the rear. That technique has its place if you want to get very accurate shots off and you're not under a time limit, but it's not the way to fast follow-up shots.
Yeah, I think pinning the trigger to the rear is very good for precise single shots.
Yeah,
but you really want to ride that reset when coming in with fast shots.
Yeah.
Support hand is important in that aspect as well, but I think that his opinion works in certain things, but not running fast.
Yeah, you can pin the trigger to the rear when you're zeroing your weapon, for example, so that you can maximize that follow through and make sure that you're not disturbing the gun in any way. However, I really, using that technique throughout the first few years of the Marine Corps, and then now transitioning to resetting under recoil. Resetting under recoil is the way to go if you want to get those
100%,
like fast under par build drill or that check drill.
Yeah, pinning that trigger to the rear will, and I speak from experience, it will cause trigger freeze very often. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, and your gun is not going to, if you're shooting a handgun at least, your gun is not going to return to its natural point of aim if you pin the trigger to the rear.
Yeah,
it's just going to stay up, and then you're going to have to consciously register that and then drive the gun back down to
There's
your
more work
thing.
to it.
Yeah, it creates more work for you. It necessitates more like conscious input into the gun, and that's not something you want, right? Whereas if you reset under recoil, that gun naturally just goes back to your natural point of aim, and then you can immediately take your shot. So between students who improve quickly, right, and those who stay stagnant, staying on this a little bit, what are some behaviors from the students that you have seen that separate the two?
Well, you can see, right, in the classes that we run here, the courses that we run here, guys who don't think they need the knowledge will, during the instructionary portions of the classes, so we'll do a drill, we'll explain what happened, or somebody will mess up and we'll explain that mess up, or we'll gather data on the target, and we'll see this miss or that miss, or this guy's shooting doubles really tight, and what we'll do is we'll come back to the crowd and we'll explain, and there's very important information in what we explain about what just happened, and you'll see the new guys are just like, yeah, they're really engaged, and then the seasoned guys who have been shooting for a long time and don't think they have anything to gain from the classes, they're just there to shoot, they'll just start looking around. They'll be doing that in the class, or they'll be loading mags before even finding out what the next course of fire is, and that's the mentality that we see a lot here, is that the longtime shooters tend to think they know everything, which is fine if you're hitting your shots, but most of the time they're not. So
yeah, at the end of the day, the target doesn't lie.
The target does not lie, correct?
Yeah. Wow, I totally lost my train of thought.
No worries.
I'm gonna edit this part out.
Yeah. I feel like we're bashing the seasoned shooters a little bit too much.
I mean, it's okay. I mean, some of those seasoned shooters do get really accurate hits.
With that being said,
yeah,
though, we might have to put this part in. There are a lot of seasoned shooters that understand that they can improve, and those seasoned shooters are the ones that are the best in the class, because no matter how much shooting they've done, they still know that they can improve, and so they come and they try harder, and they listen. For example, Chad is one of our longest, most experienced shooters. I like to say.
He's in the range right now.
Yeah, he's in the range shooting right now. Yeah. Chad has been shooting for a very long time, but that dude always wants to improve, and he always wants to learn, and he asks a ton of questions, and he's very open-minded and humble. So that kind of guy will go further than the stubborn, I've been shooting for 20 years kind of guy, right?
Yeah, he even asked me questions once, and I don't regard myself as a better shooter than him. Usually he's the one who's getting those faster par times and getting those slightly more precise hits on target.
Yeah.
But he even asked me questions from time to time, and he's like, how did you do that? How do you move so fast? He's very complimentary, and that kind of goes to show like he is willing to learn from anybody. He's willing to be coachable, and that's actually where I was going to go. That's what the train of thought that I ended up losing about being coachable. I feel like that is a huge differentiator between the person that improves and the person that never.
Exactly.
Does.
It's and also being coachable is the first part, and being able to teach is the second part, right? I have struggled in my past to figure out how to elaborate things to people. So I took the time to train with and train people of different experience levels and different, I guess, their mindsets are different, so they retain knowledge differently. And I found that certain keywords will make them understand the point I'm getting across better than others. For example, people ask me a lot about grip, and I could never for the life of me figure out how to explain that you need to push the balls of your hands together on that grip until I came up with the, I don't know if I might have stole it, to be honest. I don't know at this point. But I asked people, how do you crush an apple? Right? How would you crush an apple?
I think the same exact thing. The same exact thing. It's about crushing the apple.
Crush the apple. How do you crush the apple? You use the balls of your hand, and because this is the strongest part, you crush the apple. And I say that's how you should be from the draw. You should be presenting your grip just like so.
That's
crushing
crazy. I
that
didn't know
apple.
you used that analogy too. I
Yeah.
had no idea you used that
It's
analogy.
a good
as well.
analogy. Yeah, it's a good analogy.
It works. Yeah.
And it works. It makes sense to you. It makes sense to me. Once I figured it out, it made sense.
What's going on?
So
That's just honestly wild. Yeah, and it makes
great
a
minds
difference too.
think alike.
Exactly.
Iron sharpens iron.
And it makes a difference too, because like if you get your purchase on the gun, let's say you have a good grip, but you're not applying pressure in the right areas, the result in your recoil management is going to be different versus if you give that proper input into the frame of the gun and you crush that out.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't hug the apple. Crush
Exactly.
the apple.
Okay, so all right, that leads me to another question. What fundamentals do you see most shooters struggle with from the get-go?
What fundamentals?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Take your time. I'll let it out
That's a
the parts
loaded
where it's
question.
like
It's kind of
Yeah.
so everyone struggles with different things. It's really hard for me to pinpoint one or the other. I think one fundamental that one I guess bad habit that I see a lot is people lock out their elbows very often. People lock out their elbows very often, and also people bring their shoulders a little bit too high whenever they shoot. And for me, that when there's recoil, your body suffers the reaction to the recoil a lot more when you're stiff. So when you've got your arms locked out like this and your shoulders high, and then you take a shot, that recoil moves all the way back into your body, pushing you on your heels. Whereas if your shoulders are relaxed and your elbows are bent, your body naturally absorbs the recoil. It acts as a suspension, right? It goes like this rather than like this. And I think that is one of the most common mistakes that I see when it comes to shooting fundamentals. Is people lock out their elbows, people bring their shoulders a little bit too high, causing a very, very stiff posture.
Yeah, it's kind of like the hunchback type thing.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of people, especially HPD, NCIS, those guys bring their shoulders up, which is fine if that's how they train. But at the very least, their elbows are bent, which is good. So if you're going to do one, at least do the other correct.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something that I see whenever I'm just watching people on the range. They'll be doing exactly that. They'll have their elbows completely locked out. There's not really much wrist tension. Their wrists aren't in a position to lock out themselves or create muscle tension in that area. And yeah, that's exactly what happens. Like their shoulders are hunched forward. They're like, and as soon as they press that trigger on the gun, it pushes them back.
Yeah, and you could potentially take a good, accurate first shot, but then once you do a follow-up or two, then you'll start to notice your upper half of your body starts to move past your knees, and then eventually you're on your heels, struggling to maintain balance.
Yeah, for sure.
I would like to say stance, but honestly, I train with multiple different foot placements on my stance, and you can still shoot accurately without it. I think that upper body is very important for the most part. I think another fundamental is, I don't even know that this is a fundamental or not. It's your hand placement on your gun. People draw with whatever hand placement they get first. And I think that shouldn't be the case. So, for example, if you're drawing low on the grip of your gun and there's a gap between the web of your thumb and index and the beaver tail, I think you should not be drawing that gun. I think you should take the time to get that web high up in that beaver tail before you draw the gun. Because drawing up, all the way up on the gun, will allow for a stronger grip, and will also eliminate the chance of limp wristing or jamming, because the reciprocation of the gun requires a firm grip.
It's interesting that you say that, because I'm of the mindset that I'm actually not the opposite mindset necessarily, but I'm of a differing mindset in that when you go to draw your gun, if it's a serious self-defense situation, the grip that you get is the grip that you get, and if you have to engage that target immediately, you may not have the time to adjust and get that perfect master grip, but you have to work with what you've got and run that gun regardless.
I think it's a very good debate to have here. I think that's a good mindset. Yes, you're right. You could not have the time, but then you have to think about the time that you sacrifice. So, good philosophy. Yes, whatever grip you get, you should run with and try to make it work. Same thing for me. Well, not same thing. Opposite for me is you got to get that grip first, so that you're on target. Because the reason I'm saying my point is my preferred thing to do is because if you're on target, right? I mean, if you have your gun on your grip high and it's good, you can ensure that the shots that you are going to take are going to be accurate.
For sure, yeah.
For sure. Even though you shave the second. Now, if in your aspect, yes, you get on target faster, but how accurate could you potentially be with those shots? So I think it's a two-way thing. It's where you want to take the risk.
For
sure. I think we are both understanding that there is a risk regardless.
Yeah.
So there's a risk in me shaving a second or risking a second to get my grip on, and there is the risk of you potentially not being able to hold your gun properly on a shot.
I think the middle way, as the Buddha likes to say, I think the way forward is, and this is where we can bridge the gap between our two differing philosophies, is that in training on the flat range, your goal should be to establish a good grip from the draw immediately. Correct. And that can really only come from reps.
Exactly.
Whether that's dry fire or live fire.
Yep.
So if you're lazy with dry fire, if you're not doing your dry fire enough, or if you're lazy when you draw from your holster on the firing line, whether or not you're shooting live ammo, you are not conditioning yourself to get the desired result at the end of the day, which is a high, firm grip into the pistol that allows you to get those accurate shots on target. Because ideally, once you draw that gun, whether it's training or serious self-defense, you want to have that high grip, right?
Correct.
My only thing is you may not get it all the time, but hopefully you've been training consistently enough that you
to know how to adapt. Yeah. So I think, correct, the solution to both of our problems here is, and the solution to a lot of problems is training, repetition. You're never going to eliminate the risk of messing up, but you can change the probability of it happening, for sure, with training.
Yeah, Jim said it really well. He said amateurs do it until they get it right, and then pros do it until they don't get it wrong.
Exactly. Yeah, very good mentality to have.
So how often do you see shooters come up with expensive setups and weak fundamentals?
It's going good. Hey. Do you want to be featured in this YouTube video?
Yeah.
Okay.
Little camera shot.
Welcome back.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Yeah.
All right, so what was the question?
How often do you see shooters come in with like super expensive setups and weak fundamentals?
Ooh, I think very often, more often than I would like to see. Unfortunately, we live in a world of social media, and YouTube is very, very influential. And I think a lot of shooters come into this with the mentality, and I don't like this mentality. I really don't. I'm 1,000% against this. People think buy once, cry once, and they say it all the time, and I'm like, why? I understand that you want to buy one gun because you don't want to waste money, or you don't want to have to buy too much guns or go through the process for permitting process. I get it, right? I get it, but why limit yourself, right? Why limit yourself? Anyway, I think that mentality is way too common, and also social media hype and trends in YouTube are way too influential, that people think that they have to have the best thing and they have to have the most expensive thing. And also their friends, I found very early in my shooting career here, I found that this community can be very toxic. People will tease you for having a cheaper gun, and they'll tease you for having a cheaper optic. And I think that mentality has infected the gun community, where people think that they have to have the most expensive thing, the most expensive optic, the nicest looking gun, and the most trendy thing on earth. And then they come to the range and they can't shoot for jack. And the reason is because they cared too much about what people thought of them rather than their target.
Yeah, dude, I'm not going to name names here, but one of the people that used to come to DDR, he saw my freaking $500 Delton one day with the $200 optic on it from SIG, and he was like, "Bro, that rifle is trash." But guess what? He couldn't do hit the A zone.
Exactly.
He couldn't hit the A zone with his $3,000 guy.
So like, I want to know in their mindset. It's a question for you guys. Leave a comment if you'd like. What is your mentality? How is a gun trash if you can't hit a target with a $5,000 gun, and I can with a $500 gun? How is my gun trash?
Yeah,
you know
I could
mean?
give you. We could take your RC9, your Race Defense RC9 2011 right now, and you could smash the A zone in a target. But then I could give you my Glock 19 or my Glock 4. No,
your 43X.
Yeah.
Yes, you can say that.
Yeah, I could give you that, and you could pretty much give me the same exact result.
Yeah, probably not as fast, but I can definitely hit a bullseye with the 43X, because me and Morgan here and a lot of our buddies that come to the range, we put in the work, and we don't just shoot our most expensive and our easiest shooting gun, because we understand that fundamentals are important, training is important, and putting yourself at a disadvantage is what makes you improve, and then what makes you successful. And if you're shooting your 2011 all the time because that's the easiest gun you can shoot, you're never going to gain anything from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like the 2011 is such a well-built, advanced platform that it almost holds back new shooters.
It does,
from getting
100%.
Yeah.
And just bear in mind, I have 5 2011s myself, some of which does all the work for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I am also a proud owner of many Glocks, and I always go between the two. I never just train with one. I train with them all, because I understand that you can't get complacent when it comes to shooting.
I think that's the major difference between Glocks and 2011s, because people are going to have that battle until the end of frickin' time.
Mm-hmm.
But Glocks and striker fire pistols like Glock that are a little bit more finicky, I would say, have their place because they are so unforgiving to the shooter without fundamentals.
Correct.
They expose your flaws. They show you shooting a Glock with a stock trigger, or even a slightly upgraded trigger like an F1 from Shogun. Shooting a Glock will show you exactly what you did wrong.
Exactly.
And you will figure out very quickly, if you shoot a Glock, how screwed up you are. But if you shoot a 2011, it's going to cover up those flaws, and you're going to think that you're the best shot in the world, and then you're going to instantly go get Grandmaster at USPSA.
Exactly. It offers a false sense of security, and you start to think that you are better than you are, and then hopefully, God forbid, it ever has to happen where you need to use your firearm in a self-defense scenario. Everything's not going to go well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everything's not going to go well. Your 2011, if you're not versed in shooting, if you're not training properly, you're going to forget to turn that safety off, or you're going to limp wrist that gun on accident. That slide is so light that it'll jam on you. Or you forget to clean your gun one day. And 2011s are very tight tolerances, so if your gun's dirty, it's not going to operate smooth. Or what if you get a piece of clothing behind your hammer? There are a ton of things that could go wrong with the 2011 versus a striker fire, but you put too much faith in it, and you don't train properly and put yourself in a tougher environment and get through those issues. You're going to fail when it matters the most, and nobody wants that to happen.
Yeah, and this is not about this is not about taking a dunk on 2011s, because you and I both love them.
We love them.
Yeah, I'm saving up for a Fowler right now. I'm saving up for a Fowler Phantom 9. But at the end of the day, that's not the gun I'm going to trust my life to, even though it probably could run, because I am just not familiar with that platform the way I am with a striker fired pistol.
Yeah.
And I have more trust in a striker fired Glock to do what I need it to do when it really comes down to it.
Same.
Yeah.
And if you ask me to come to the range and have a nice fun range day, I will bring my 2011s.
Mm-hmm.
If there's an enemy at the door trying to break in and hurt me and my family, I will pick up my Glock.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a really good mentality to have, and I definitely share that mentality. So what is something that you wish all shooters practiced more or put into their mindset more before coming to classes?
Yes. Dry fire. all the time. I think dry fire, and two things that you should be doing with dry fire is drawing. You should be practicing your draws all the time, and practice that target acquisition on the first shot. The reason I say this is because if you think about it, right, there are more scenarios than I can list that you will have to draw fast and get off a shot fast. Whether or not we're doing a competition with the ball challenge, whether or not we're just doing a home defense scenario drill, or even in a real home defense scenario, you want to draw, get on target, and take that shot very fast. So I think,
quick, walk us through the ball challenge. Tell us what that is.
Yes. So the ball challenge, it's so we shoot in the range all the time, and once in a while we take this little ball. It's about this size.
And we play with it.
We play with it. Yeah, we let it hang, and then we play with it. Sometimes we hang 2 or 3 or 4. Anyway, we hang it up in the range, and it's such a small target, and it's moving, right, all the time. So the goal is to draw and shoot that thing as fast as you can. I'll send Morgan a pic or a video of me
You said you
banging.
pick up my balls?
You got to get megapixels for that thing. Anyway, I'll send Morgan a video. He can put it in here of me banging three balls. Brother, shooting 3 balls from the draw. But I forgot my whole train of thought. Yeah. So the goal is to just hit that ball, and it's a moving target and it's small, so it requires you to be on point. You know, quick out of the holster and quick on your target. So yeah, that's what the ball drill is. The ball challenge is to just hit that ball as fast as you can.
So dry fire presentation is really like what you wish guys would practice more before they come.
Correct. Yes, because I see way too often, especially, and I feel bad sometimes, but for the sake of time, we do multiple shooters at once, and I feel bad because I see guys drawing and they're doing this.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
They're swimming, they're fishing, they're looking for that target.
They're
looking for that red dot.
Yeah.
Sorry. And I feel bad because there's guys in the second and third guy on the line, they're already done with their drill, and the guy's just taking his first shot because he drew from the holster. He wasn't high up that beaver tail. He presented. He wasn't on target because that wasn't his natural point of aim with that grip that he rushed. And now he's looking for that dot. Can't find it, and then just takes a shot because he got frustrated and he heard everyone else shooting. So he took a shot and he threw the shot. Now the paper's all jacked up because we got one flyer on there.
Yep.
And I really wish people would take the time to holster and do that single draws at home before you come to the class.
Yeah, I had a really frustrating drill during one of the DDRs recently where I experienced something similar to that.
But you were kneeling, correct?
I was kneeling and I was pieing off of one of the barrels that we have right there. I was kneeling and I was pieing off of cover, and that's not a position that I usually shoot or dry fire from. And I remember indexing my weapon. I thought I had a good grip, but I indexed the weapon. I was pointing with my thumbs, but the dot wasn't there. I was shooting my Glock 17 with an RMRCC, and I ended up having to do that where I was just like, and then I realized I'm still exposing myself out of cover. I need to get back on cover, and then re-index, and then present that pistol again, and hopefully I get my dot.
And while we're on this topic, let me just give a little piece of advice for people who were in Morgan's situation. So just to understand what he was going through, he was on a knee and he was canted. He was leaning behind cover. So trying to maintain cover, stay on that knee, and present the gun at an angle. Now, I will tell you 2 things, piece of advice. To get on target quick, you have to maintain the same posture you have standing straight, even on the knee. The only thing that you want to change is your lower portion of the body and the angle of which your upper body is in, but none of the fundamentals change.
Yeah.
Your elbows are low, your shoulders are low, you present the gun at any angle, upside down, left, right, 45 degree, you will always be on target. But should you find yourself out of target, the easiest way to find your dot is to get your gun up, get that iron sight at the top of your dot window, and then right in the middle, and then bring it down. That's my advice for finding your dot fast. I think I'm guilty of this. I do this stupid thing and I realize I'm looking for a dot on a long device, right? It's a 5-inch barrel that I'm looking down, and all I have to do is line it up, and that'll eliminate this, and then bring it down. But I forget, and I do this, just like you. We're all human.
Only reason I can't do that with my Glock 17 is because that gun currently does not have any iron sights.
Oh God!
Yeah.
Don't be this guy.
Yeah. Well, that's my training gun specifically. I keep the iron sights off of that gun because it is. I use that gun to really focus on indexing the dot.
With that being said, if you're in Morgan's shoes and you don't have irons, put that belly button at the tip of the gun inside of the window, where your irons are supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly.
And then bring it down.
Okay.
But I think when you're in that scenario, you're not thinking about it. So it's a good thing to train.
Yeah.
Definitely train that drill, acquiring your red dot should you lose it. And your mind will naturally gravitate to those steps when you're in that scenario again.
Yeah. I go back and I rewatch that clip all the time of me just like, oh, I don't have my dot. Get behind cover. I still don't have my dot. Get behind cover. I rewatch that clip all the time, and I try to figure out where my positioning went wrong, where my presentation went wrong, and I still can't figure it out. I think I just have to I think I have to use that technique, try it out, maybe put some iron sights on my fucking Glock because it needs that, and then maybe just go from there and see what happens.
Sorry to branch off here, but more as I was listening to Morgan, something clicked in my head. You should be videotaping your training as much as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Videotaping it, because when you make a mistake like that, being able to review it and figure out what's wrong with what you were doing is crucial to improvement. Mm-hmm. And Morgan here is very good at videotaping himself and reviewing his mistakes.
Mostly because I want to look cool.
Yeah, well, he wants to look cool, but also it's a two-edged sword, right? You benefit both ways.
Yeah.
You get to review and fix your mistakes, and I think everyone should be filming themselves.
Yeah, lately the students in class have really been videotaping themselves a lot more, and I think that they are getting some training benefit out of it, because more than likely they are going back and watching those, and they're seeing where things went wrong. They can look back and point out their own errors, and then come back to class and improve from there. Yeah. Let's see. To close out, if someone is watching this and really wants to get better, this is a very general question. What should they focus on first?
I think we touched this topic a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so I touched on safety, and I touched on obviously just getting a gun. But what I didn't touch on is your mental state. I think it is very important to go into this knowing why you are. What's your reasoning behind it? Have a good reason behind it, and stand by that reason. For example, my reason is because, well, there was a big threat in my hometown. Gun violence was on the rise, and it was rapidly growing, and I need to be able to meet that threat with a threat that can eliminate it should I have to. And fist fighting and knife fighting wasn't going to do the trick. So firearms is what gave me that peace of mind to be able to protect my family. So that's my reasoning. I think you should look for that reason inside of yourself before you get into shooting guns when you're just starting out. Know why you're doing it, right? If you're doing it just for fun, you might not take it as serious as we do. You might not take safety as serious as we do. If you're doing it just to look cool, you might not care that you're flagging your neighbor, or you might not care to clear your gun when you get home, when you're cleaning it. You know what I mean? So I feel like you should have a sincere reason as to owning a firearm, and respect it a lot, understand how dangerous it could be, and really, I think, really devote yourself to the craft. You can't half-ass this thing.
Yeah.
Most hobbies you can, but this one you can't. There is no shortcut to becoming a good shooter, and there is no excuse for hurting someone on accident with your firearm.
Let me know if you disagree or agree with this statement, but I feel like firearms at the high level are a form of martial arts.
Yeah.
Because it takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of mental fortitude. It takes a lot of humility, which is something we touched on. It takes you to be able to essentially remove ego from the equation
Correct.
if you want to get better. And it also requires a lot of physical, it requires a lot of physicality,
Mhm.
especially when you're doing moving and shooting. And that is not something that can be overlooked or neglected, whether it's running from target to target, or whether it's running from point to point, or simply just mastering that indexing of and your presentation of your weapon. Those are all physical aspects of shooting that perhaps get ignored by those who are a bit more gear focused.
Yeah, 100%. It is a martial art in its own way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it requires the same amount of discipline, training, and respect of the art, and humility as well. You need to be, you have to have a sense of humility when you come into firearms, because, dude, this isn't one of those sports that's gonna offer you the grace that you're looking for, right? You see it all the time. You know, when fighters get a little bit too arrogant, they start dropping their arms. Next thing you know, they get dropped, right?
Mm-hmm.
They get clipped with a nice right hook, and then send them right to the mat.
Yeah, the fighter that dances around the ring because he thinks he
Exactly.
got a good shot off. And
There are a
suddenly
few
his opponent
people who've
comes
been
with a
able
head
to,
kick.
there are people have been able to execute that, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not common for that to be a successful thing,
Yeah,
right?
it's not the norm.
And then you take that analogy and you put it towards firearms. You get a little bit too cocky. You could get killed, or you could get someone killed.
Yeah.
So take it a little bit serious.
Mm-hmm.
Not a little bit, very serious,
yeah.
and you'll be fine.
Yeah, that's definitely something. That's taking it seriously is definitely something that I think is underemphasized at this point. Again, going back to the things with social media and showing off cool gear and looking cool, right? At the end of the day, this is a life or death thing that we're practicing.
Correct.
And it could mean the difference between someone's life or death, and that cannot be overstated.
100%.
Yeah. With that said, before we get into talking about your gear and your setups,
Cool.
I want to ask, what's your EDC right now? From everything from your watch to your knives to what you're carrying at this moment.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. I got this hat from my buddy
Mm-hmm.
on Instagram. I don't know. He moves hats, so I just bought one.
Oh yeah.
Dirty Kid shirt.
Yeah.
Which one? I forgot what this one says. What does it say?
I do not understand the course of fire. Hell yeah.
I wear
I
this
do-
for this guy.
Yeah. There are times when I'm doing drills and I literally just do not understand the course of fire.
It's hilarious, dude. The last class, I asked Morgan, "Do you understand the course of fire?" He says, "Yes." Shoots the wrong drill, looks at me, goes, "I do not understand the course of fire." Hilarious.
That's fucking priceless, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, so I got this Seiko automatic GMT. Which version is this?
It's the SSK001. I had that
See,
watch.
this
I
guy
gave it
just
to a
knows.
friend.
This
Yeah.
guy knows everything.
Yeah.
I got this watch because of Morgan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Morgan likes watches, and I like seeing him come in with nice watches. So I got my first watch, and now I'm on my third, and I need to be very careful because it is a slippery slope.
Yeah.
And I got this. It's the Seiko replica bracelet from Instagram. The Instagram store is dangerous. Be careful, because I've spent way too much money. But I've got a Glock 19 in there. It's my everyday carry. It's my CCW. I got that on me at all times. And other than that, that's pretty much it. The whole attire.
Sorry.
Never let them know your next move. You're gonna be drawing from the booty cheeks next time.
Hell yeah. All right, we're going to cut this real quick, and then we're going to go and skip to your gear. So we're going to bring out your stuff. All right, so we're inside the range right now. We are, there's stuff going on, but we're going to make it work. This part of the video really is talking about Adam's gear, Adam's setups, and basically covering why he chose the gear that he did, why he chose the accessories that he did specifically, and what the goal of each platform is. So let's start with your CCW.
So first things first, I got my Glock 48. As you can see, it is clear. I chose this platform because I have shot Glocks more than any other platform out there, and I'm the most confident with this platform. I trust it. It is reliable. Therefore, that is what I carry. Also, I shoot Glocks better than I shoot most guns, so that's the reason I went with this one. This variant is my second CCW. I have been That's Chad.
Yeah,
I've been
Chad's
carrying
getting after
a
it.
Glock 19 for a very long time, but I'm transitioning to this because I want to carry a little bit more comfortably, and this Slimline series gun allows me to do so. Now, what I have on it is an optic. As you all know, I have bad eyesight. Therefore, an optic is easier for me to be able to acquire my target. I have a light. Target identification is super important, so all guns should have that. This is a Slimline gun. It is very hard to shoot without proper recoil management and grip. And under stress, your dexterity takes a shot. So I have a magwell on there. And me personally, the trigger on the trigger on the Glock 48 stock is super.
It's
I don't
bad.
know, it's bad.
It's bad. It's
Yeah,
not good.
let's just put it that way. It's bad. So I got the F1 trigger shoe on it. It doesn't take away too much weight. I think it's 4 pounds, 4.5 pounds, with a very clean, crisp brake and a nice reset here. And I chose this because it's heavy enough to be a carry choice, but it's crispy enough to be able to shoot accurately.
Before we go further, could you disclose your relationship with F1 or with Shogun?
Oh, with Shogun. Yeah, Shogun's a nice guy who does custom work on slides, and he's done slides and ports primarily, and that's how I found him. And then he released the trigger, and I'm a big trigger snob, so I try a lot of triggers before I choose them as my go-to. And out of all the triggers I've tried, the Shogun F1 trigger was my favorite, and it's the most comfortable, and it's heavier, which is good for carry. And yeah, we've built a good relationship together. He does a lot of work with me. I buy a lot of products from him, and I push his products, and we fill the island with his products. So.
Yeah. So there is a relationship there. He is sponsored by Shogun, but
I'm not sponsored.
them.
I'm an ambassador.
You're an ambassador. But you're an ambassador for them, but you choose their products because they work.
Because they work, right. I'm big on testing products, making sure that they work before I suggest them to anyone else.
So tell us about this EPS carry.
Yeah, so the EPS carry is an enclosed optic from Holosun. It's one of my favorite optics because, for one, it's very clean. The dot is crispy, and the battery lasts forever. And then any enclosed optic is better than an open emitter optic, simply because you can't get water into the back end, blocking that emitter. And it's got a lot more durability than most.
This barrel is also ported as well.
It is ported.
Yeah. Tell us about your decision to port it.
I decided to port it because the 48 has a lot of recoil naturally, and I'm pretty decent at fighting recoil, but then I start to think on variables like if my hands are wet, sweaty, bloody, etc., I have to fight more recoil. And what if my wife has to pick up the gun and use it? I want it to be easier for me to use under stress, and my wife to use it should she need to. And ports make that recoil manageable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you feel like a new guy could benefit from ports, or is that something they should wait to add to their gun?
I don't think new shooters should get ports or comps right off the rip, because they have to learn how to use a firearm in its true state prior to doing any kind of upgrades. You have to. I hate to say this, it sound like a douche saying this, but I feel like everyone should earn upgrades. You should be able to shoot a stock gun accurately before you do any kind of upgrades.
I feel like that's not a snobbish thing to say. This is really just coming from experience. Yeah. Tell us about your RC9. What
This is a Voodoo, actually.
Yeah. Oh, it's your Voodoo. My bad.
They're the same color.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is my range toy, and potentially a competition gun should I decide to go and compete once I have time. So this is a custom 2011 done by my buddy Eli. I shot a lot of 2011s in my lifetime. When I put this in my hands and shot it, it was the best shooting gun that I've shot in a long time. And Eli built it for himself, custom. It's got metal grip, nice flat face trigger. It's clear. SRO, V ports, V8 ports here. Very slick, tight tolerances. I think it's a 3-pound trigger. And I bugged him for 5 months to sell it to me.
So why the SRO over something like a 509T?
So I like the SRO because the shape allows me to get on target a lot faster. What's up, my man? The shape allows me to get on target a lot faster. The dot is crispier than most in the SRO, and flex factor as well. It's really
Hell yeah,
cool.
that's a big flex. Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, SROs aren't the most durable optics out there. I wouldn't suggest it for a carry option, but for a range toy and a competition toy, it is one of the best options out on the market.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like a 2011 with an SRO is kind of, because I've competed twice now. I feel like a 2011 with an SRO is kind of the gold standard as far as a competition setup goes.
100%.
In fact, I would say I won't say it's the bare minimum, but you're definitely going to get a leg up on the rest if you have a 2011 with an SRO.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that Sunny back there?
Yeah, it's Sunny stroking the broom.
Of course, I love it. Yeah. So this one is also ported. Did Eli do that as well?
Eli got that done. Yeah, yeah. It's V ported. I cleaned it up so you can see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It did not need the ports, but it is pleasant with it.
Yeah, very pleasant. I've shot this gun as well, and the ports do make a difference to a gun that is already extremely flat shooting. Yeah, ports on a 2011 cannot be overlooked. You know, they really do add. I feel like ports on a 2011 just squeeze out that little bit more capability. You know?
Yeah, you can get doubles on target way quicker, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, super nice, super clean. Definitely one of the best guns you got. If not the best.
Easily, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Your CAC. Show me your CAC. Yeah. Yeah.
What did he say?
We're no longer in Hawaii. We're in
This is
Boston.
my go-to rifle should anything happen and I need to get up and go. So what I have here is a SR15 upper from Knights Armament, sitting on a Radiant ADAC lower, ambidextrous. It's got an emissary grip, which I think is the best grip in the world. It's very comfortable. It matches the way that I place my hand. And yeah, and it looks cool. Yep, and I got rail scales here. I got a Surefire Scout Pro light on it. I've got Unity mounts on both of my my optic and my magnifier here. Aimpoint T2, and then a D-Ball A3 Steiner laser.
Yeah.
So that's my go-to build. All of my builds actually look like this.
Yeah.
They have some kind of quick flip to center mount. They have a raised optic. And they have a laser because I have night vision goggles. Not everyone has night vision goggles, and you don't need stuff like this, but it's definitely a plus to have a riser and a laser when you have night vision goggles.
Yeah, I think the addition of the laser is really only becomes relevant once you have night vision and you're invested into that.
You don't need it at all if you don't have that, and honestly, a light will suffice.
Yeah.
It'll handle most of the fights that you get into. Yeah, all of this paired with a Trigger Tech trigger. I would suggest there are tons of good triggers in the world, Geissele, Radiant, etc. Go with something that you can shoot well, and obviously go for something with a good reputation in durability. And Trigger Tech seems to be one of the better duty triggers in my opinion. If I didn't have a Trigger Tech in here, I think I would go with a Geissele for sure.
I was going to ask you that, like, why not Geissele for this build?
Well, the reason I have this is because I was looking for a duty trigger off the rip, and let's be realistic, at the time, this was cheaper than Geissele, so I got it, and then I trained with it a lot, and I became familiar with it, and that's the reason I stuck with it.
Yeah, it's a badass build. I'm going to take this off the wall for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the first thing I want to know about this build, like just from handling it, this is a really heavy gun. This is a very, very heavy gun, especially with all of the attachments on it. The SR15 upper is not necessarily one of the lightest uppers out there, and when you add everything else to this becomes a pretty heavy build and something that might be difficult to index for the smaller statured shooters out there. But I feel like for you, this is a more than optimal setup.
Because I'm a big cinder block.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. you really just, I feel like with this build, you kind of just wanted to push the absolute limits of every capability. And
Let's be realistic here. Morgan is right. I stretched it out a little bit here. I do not need half of the things on this rifle, but I wanted to put it on here for one, training purposes, because training with a heavier gun allows you to build endurance. I just like having the convenience of different things on it. I like being able to show off, obviously. You know, everyone likes to show off what they have. Just like your attire, if it looks good, it feels good, and that's how I feel about this gun.
Yeah.
But should I ever get into a real life shit hits the fan situation, I'm probably gonna ditch the magnifier. I'm probably gonna ditch the laser and make this gun a lot lighter, just so I can run and gun with the family at my back.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, for sure.
these are nice things to have, but honestly, they're not needed. I just have them on all my guns because I want to be able to operate all my guns the same should I pick one up in the dark.
Yeah.
And if I have three of the same exact gun, three of the exact same setups, then I can operate them all the exact same.
So how do you employ the magnifier specifically? Because I see a lot of people run magnifiers, but they don't actually run them. Yeah. As in, like, you know, flip them up and use them.
Yeah. So for me, the whole point of having the magnifier is one. The primary reason is flex factor. Anyway,
we're being honest here. Yeah.
It is to get your zero done a lot easier because I can zero at a further distance without having to bring the target back and forth or walk up to the target. So magnifier is good for that. And if should I ever need to take a longer shot, the magnifier is useful. I don't think that I'll ever have to take a longer shot here in Hawaii, but having that option gives me a bit of comfort. You know, should I need to.
I think long range shooting here in Hawaii, or not long range, but like mid range engagements here in Hawaii would be very few and far between.
Yep.
So an LPVO is not really necessary.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think you will get into more close quarters fights.
Yeah.
Should you ever get into one than normal. So an LPVO could work at your disadvantage because you lose that peripheral vision with an LPVO.
Yeah, definitely. And magnifier just kind of simplifies the process and makes it easier to translate between close range engagements and mid range.
Flick the center, and then when you're done with it, knock her down. Super easy.
Yeah. The D-ball is badass. I can't really speak to that, but we've already kind of touched on it as far as night vision goes. You have an Aimpoint T2 here. Tell us about why you chose the Aimpoint T2.
I chose the Aimpoint T2 because one of two things. The T2, there's another variant that is non-night vision compatible. The T2 is night vision compatible, and obviously you know now that I have night vision goggles, so that's why I got the T2 over the other version. And one of the more important things is that it is absolutely durable. It is one of the strongest optics on the market right now, and I hate to admit it, but I've dropped this rifle a few times, and this dot works flawlessly.
Happens.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's still functioning. I just looked through the dot right now, and it's still doing what it needs to do.
Solid dot. It does its job, and it looks good. You'll hear me say that a lot.
Yeah. Looking cool still matters a little bit. Yeah.
Matters a lot.
Yeah, I know we were trashing looking cool earlier, but you know,
looking cool, and shooting good is what matters.
Mm-hmm. Not necessarily in that order, but you know,
shooting good first.
Yeah, shoot good first, and then look cool after that.
Yeah.
But if you shoot good, you automatically look cool. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thanks for taking us through your setups, man.
Yeah, of course.
Time to get some shooting in.
Let's do it, baby.
Let's get after it.